At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Ameristar Casino Resort in Council Bluffs, Iowa, across the Missouri River from Omaha, Nebraska, and fired up to be here on this Friday. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp, and we've got tons to do over the next 2 hours. We will talk to Preston Guy in 15 minutes. Huge LSU football recruiting weekend coming up, so I want to get all that information from Preston, including what's going on with Lamar Brown, what's going on with Tristan Keys. We'll do that with Preston, and certainly we've got a College World Series final to cover. We'll do it every angle we can find for you. Doug Thompson's going to be with us in the first hour. Michael Cauble from WBRZ is going to be with us in about 45 minutes. He was there at the press conferences between Coastal Carolina and LSU today. In the second hour, Peter Flaherty from Baseball America is going to give us a little bit of time as well, and we might check in with Rivers Huey and Alondra Villarreal, who are in the flyover states somewhere right now, headed to Omaha. I would imagine somewhere near Missouri, potentially Iowa at this point, but we may run them down in the second hour if we can. Really appreciate our sponsors for making this happen. That is, of course, our title sponsor, Our Lady of the Lake, and our presenting sponsors, Yingling Beer, as well as GoFlow IV Spa. We got a busy 2 hours. Let's get it started the same way we do every single day. It's with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
I got to be honest, a little surprising. I'm sitting in my hotel room about an hour ago and getting word from the press conference just across the river at Charles Schwab Field that Coastal Carolina has announced its starting pitcher for tomorrow's Game 1 of the championship series. And everyone just kind of assumed, I'm talking about national media, I'm talking about myself, that Jacob Morrison would get the baseball for Coastal Carolina. Morrison has been their workhorse all year long. He is a 6'8", 245-pound redshirt sophomore. He's the Sun Belt Pitcher of the Year, 12-0 on the season, 104 innings, 102 strikeouts. Opponents hit 194 against him. Coastal has won 16 of the 18 games he has pitched in. And then on Monday, he got the baseball against Oregon State, who was clearly, in my opinion, the best team that Coastal played in their run through the bracket. And he was awesome in that game. He pitched into the eighth inning. He at one point retired 16 straight Oregon State Beavers in that game on Monday. And he's not getting the ball on Saturday. Coastal Carolina, Coach Schnall made the decision to hold Morrison for Sunday's Game 2. Now, when I saw that, I went, okay, I know they got a good rotation. We've certainly talked about Jacob Morrison and Cameron Fluke and Riley Eichhoff for a week and a half. When the field was released, I broke it down. We've talked to Joe Healy about it a little bit. We've talked to Peter Flaherty about it a little bit. Like, we have discussed this staff and that they do have 3 quality arms in their rotation. But Morrison is the first-round pick. Morrison is the horse. And I just assumed he would get the ball. And so when I saw it, I went, are they just kind of punting here? And I really dug into it. And I don't think that they are. I think this is a very, very reasonable and calculated decision by Coach Schnall to go with Cameron Fluke on Saturday and very likely Jacob Morrison on Sunday. That is 2 days short rest. He went into the 8th inning on Monday. And you're talking about coming back on Saturday. That's 2 days short rest. That's not generally something we see. Now, look, I believe that Cade Anderson and Gabe Gackle were going to get the ball on Thursday. We saw Paul Skeens get the ball on Thursday 2 years ago. We saw Rhett Lauder get the ball on Thursday 2 years ago, right after a Saturday appearance. And I think that 4 days of rest for an advanced college pitcher is not a serious risk. And this is 5 days rest, and I don't believe would be a serious risk. But 6 days rest is better, clearly. And so they're going to go with Cameron Fluke in this game. So now I had to go break down Cameron Fluke. I had all the Jacob Morrison stuff ready to go for today. I had to get into the Cameron Fluke stuff today, and we'll certainly talk about it a little bit more tomorrow. Incidentally, I'll be live 2 to 4 tomorrow before the game for a special pregame show on a Saturday here from the Ameristar. But let's talk about Fluke and what LSU is going to see in the game tomorrow. He is 6'6" and right-handed, big, tall kid, lanky, got a smooth delivery, pretty good athlete. On the season, he's 7-1. His ERA is 3.29. And he's actually got more strikeouts than Morrison, 109 in 95 2/3 innings of work. In the College World Series, he came in relief in their first game on Friday against Arizona. So he will be on full relief. They brought him into the game, and we talked about how I thought this was a really quality bit of coaching by Coach Schnall to go to his number 2 and number 3 starters in the first game to hold Morrison for the second game against Oregon State, who I thought was better than Arizona. And it worked out beautifully. But Fluke came out of the bullpen against Arizona, threw 4 innings of 2-run baseball, gave up 2 hits, had 3 strikeouts and 1 walk. If you want to go back to his outing against Auburn in the Super Regional, which I think is a reasonable thing to do, that's an Auburn team that we are pretty familiar with that had a quality offense and was led by, obviously, Ike Irish and Cooper McMurray, but you had some really strong freshmen in that lineup. It was at Plainsman Park, and you saw 5 innings of work from Fluke. He gave up 6 hits and 3 earned runs. He walked 3 and struck out 4, so it was a solid 5 innings of 3-run work. It wasn't great. Wasn't awful. And then you look into the stuff, and that's the kind of thing that I wanted to look into more so than not. And Fluke has a really good arm. He's a talented dude. You're talking about a fastball that got up to 98 miles an hour last Friday. It sat most generally 94 to 96, and that's kind of where he lives. He features 3 different off-speed pitches. He throws a big looping overhand curve that's like 75 miles an hour. It's a 20-mile-an-hour difference from the fastball to the big curveball. He will throw a slider and a changeup. Both are in the mid-80s, so that's like a 5-mile-per-hour difference. And that's what makes him a good pitcher, his ability to throw 4 pitches. I don't think he is as dominating as Morrison, who's just got a little bit more of a presence on the mound and I think has better off-speed stuff. The fastballs are comparable, but the better off-speed stuff, I think, lies with Morrison. But Fluke is a good arm. He's not anything that LSU has not seen all year. He's not better than Gackle. He's not better than Zach Root. He's not better than your guys that you saw in the Tennessee series, whether it's Marcus Phillips or Liam Doyle. He's not better than Kyson Witherspoon. Like, LSU has notched wins against big stuff pitchers all year, and they do that, 1, because they've got a talented offense, and 2, because they have a really good pitching staff as well. But as far as Fluke goes, this is not a situation where Coastal Carolina is looking at this going, we can't beat Anderson, we're going to punt the first game. They're putting a guy out there on full rest who's got over 100 strikeouts, who throws 97 miles an hour, and that they've trusted in the regional opener and to pitch the middle innings of their College World Series opener. They're allowing their horse to go on normal rest. And what this does is it does put a little bit of heat on LSU to win game one behind Anderson. I don't think it's as big a deal as it was at LSU. LSU, and Jay Johnson said this publicly after the series was over. Entering that Florida championship series, you knew that Skeens was unavailable, and you had Floyd going in game one on Saturday, and on Sunday you didn't really know what you were going to have. And it was imperative that with Floyd ready to go, that LSU needed to win the first one, and that Sunday could get a little wonky, and it got out of control. You tried to go with Ackenhausen, and then you tried to go with a lot of guys down the line in your bullpen, and Florida started hitting home runs, and you were in bad shape in that Sunday game. But you came back Monday, and you had Hurd ready to go, and Cooper was ready to go, and Skeens was ready to go in relief, and you were in a better situation for Monday's game than you were on Sunday in that College World Series. This is not like that. It's not that imperative that LSU wins in the first game because they do have Anthony Ianson to go in game two, and then in game three you would face Riley Eichhoff, and you would probably go with Zach Cowan and whoever you had left, and I think LSU is more talented than Coastal Carolina. But it does, while it doesn't put as much urgency as LSU had in 2023 to win that first game behind Floyd, there is some urgency because you've got a pitching advantage in the matchup here with Anderson going against Coastal, and then with Flukie and not Morrison going against LSU. The thing that I can't quite put my hands around just yet is the weather forecast, and I think most of you that are paying attention know that it's going to be really, really hot on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I don't care about that. LSU's played and really, really hot. The wind might be blowing 20, 25 miles an hour straight in, and I'm not sure who that benefits. Nobody's hit a ton of home runs here. Coastal doesn't have any, and LSU has got a couple from Jared Jones. So that's the thing that may be an equalizer on this whole pitching thing anyway. It's just going to be a matter of who hits the ball down and hard often. And if you listen to me from 1 o'clock today to 3 o'clock today, and if you listen to me from 2 o'clock tomorrow to 4 o'clock tomorrow, you're going to hear me say the words down and hard 25 times. Because in this ballpark, with the weather that's coming this weekend, where the wind's howling in, if you hit the ball in the air, you're out. The only exception to that is it may cause some mayhem with pop-ups in the infield. But fly balls are toast. And if you can't hit hard ground balls and hard line drives like LSU did masterfully in the UCLA game, you will be in big trouble. And so this is not a pitch-off situation by Coastal. And it's not some sort of white flag, but it is interesting and shifts the dynamics a little bit of this series. Again, we don't have a confirmed Cade Anderson is starting from Jay Johnson. He didn't answer that question, as you would expect, in the press conference. He's not going to do that, and we'll get the lineup card tomorrow, and that's just the way he's going to operate. But Coastal did, and they're going to go with Cameron Flukie. It'll be Jacob Morrison in the second game, and very likely you would see Riley Eichhoff, their senior right-hander, on Monday. For those asking, no, Coastal does not have any left-handers in their starting rotation. It's all right-handers. Their closer is a talented left-hander by the name of Dominic Carbone. We'll talk about him a little bit later. He's 5'10", but he does throw in the mid-90s and has some good off-speed stuff. And when he pitches, they generally win. So it's LSU and Coastal. We're talking about it from the Ameristar in Council Bluffs, Iowa. If you're headed up to Omaha and you're looking for something to do before the game tomorrow, looking for something to do after the game on Sunday, this is a great spot to hang out. It's got a wonderful sports book that I've spent a lot of time in over the last 9 days. Right there, just to my right, the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. They got a full floor of gaming back behind me on the boat, and they got an indoor pool too if you got the kids. So it's a fantastic spot here. Would love to see y'all come on by. I've seen probably more purple and gold today than I did all of last week, which is very, very encouraging. I think there is a massive purple and gold invasion of Omaha happening right now, and I mentioned this on yesterday's show, but I'll reiterate for those that maybe are listening while you travel. We certainly appreciate that. If you're looking for just a little bit of a guide to what maybe to do in Omaha. You've never been. You're a blank slate. I'm not part of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm not a local. I don't know everything there is to know about Omaha, but I've now been here for 18 days over 4 different trips, and I've got a reasonable handle on some things. So I put a guide together on the website, just a guide to Omaha. If you'd like to look for it, I've got information on what to do with some kids. I've got information on where to go pregame, got information on where to go get a steak, pick up for different places around Omaha. So check that out if you're here or coming this way, if you want just a little bit of guidance on what to do, or just go hang out by the stadium. That's always a thing that is very, very popular around here. We're off and running on this Friday. Our Friday shows brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Getting a late lunch, get by Corks. Having some people over to watch the games over the weekend, and you need to feed a bulk. Corks, awesome with catering. They got that crispy fried catfish, jumbo Gulf shrimp. They got the shoestring fries, honey butter rolls, beignet bites, all of it. They can bring to you over there at Corks. Go check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. Corksfishandshrimp.com. They bring you our Friday shows each and every week. Huge, huge, huge football recruiting weekend for LSU. We're going to talk about it with Preston Guy of TigerBait.com when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show. Live from Omaha, powered by Our Lady of the Lake, Championship Health for everybody, and presented by GoFlow Ivy Spa and Yingling Flight. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Just outside the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at the Ameristar Casino Resort here in Council Bluffs, Iowa, just across the river from Omaha, Nebraska. Been our home since last Friday, so full week of shows. Took one day off there on Sunday, but we've been at it every day, and we're back at it tomorrow from 2 to 4 for a little pregame for LSU and Coastal Carolina. Start things up at 6 o'clock from Charles Schwab Field. I know for a fact that Joe Sloan, the offensive coordinator for LSU football, Blake Baker, the defensive coordinator for LSU football, have been locked in the College World Series. They've been tweeting. They were fired up when Bear Jones hit that walk-off single to eliminate Arkansas and reach the championship series. They might have their hands a little bit full this weekend, though, because it is a huge one on campus for recruiting for LSU football. We got to talk about it. We'll bring in our guy, Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, to do so. Preston, how are we doing on this Friday?
Oh, I'm doing good. And, you know, I'm sure Joe Sloan was thinking to himself as he saw Bear Jones make that athletic grab there. I guess that would have been about the second inning, and he had 2 feet in bounds if you look at the foul line there. So I'm sure, you know, and look, he's got a big body. I'm sure he could do some damage at tight end. I'm just saying Joe Sloan had to be thinking maybe give it a try, but I guess you look at Bauer, Sharp, and Trades Green and probably say you're good to go.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay. That was a good play. I think that ball was going to hook foul, but Bear Jones didn't. He's played some good defense at his time here, and his dad played a little football at the University of Georgia. So there's some genes there if LSU wants to tap into it. But I think Jared's just got one more weekend left in college before he heads to the professional ranks. Let's talk about some guys who are headed to the college ranks, and they have a lot of stars next to their name, and they're headed to Baton Rouge. I want to start with Tristan Keys. He's obviously been a very, very hot topic over the last few weeks. Been an LSU commitment, visited other places, canceled some visit as well. What can you kind of tell us about where that situation is right now?
Yeah, I mean, Tristan Keys, I think it's one of those situations where, you know, he's getting money and wined and dined by everybody in the country. And I think right now he loves LSU, and it's a lot of reading the tea leaves, what we're doing right now with him, because I really think it's just him figuring it out. Okay, you've seen him tweet some love to LSU, you know, even talking about Bo Bentley, trying to say he wants Bo Bentley to come to LSU. That's, of course, the quarterback who LSU's really high on for 2026, who is doing really good work down there at the Elite 11 camp right now, by the way. You know, he's down to LSU in Oklahoma, and it's by no means a given that he will end up being an LSU Tiger, but I'm sure Tristan Keys, if he's able to convince him to come, you know, I'm sure that's a little compelling, get to throw to that guy. So, yes, he's on campus. We've got some really good official visit. I know LSU officials, when he didn't make it to the 7-on-7 2 weeks ago, they were really, really looking forward to getting him on here for an OV. You know, it's just a huge deal to get him on campus for this official visit. And, you know, you're going to have to hang on for 6 more months before you get his signature. But needless to say, good progress here, getting him back on your campus.
Seems like Lamar Brown enjoyed his time in College Station, and there was some reporting like, hey, he's not going to LSU even though he's already in town. And then he's like, yeah, I am going to go to LSU. So what do you know about that situation?
Woo! Lamar Brown, man, his recruiting process just started so early. LSU got in on him when he was a freshman, and he's just been out there. And, I think he's just had a lot of people in his ears for many years now, and he's had ups and downs with his relationship with LSU. Sometimes he's not feeling it, and other times he's come out saying, well, of course LSU's still the favorite. But he's there today, and he's actually hanging out with Mason Smith today, which is a good sign to see, a good recent alumni there trying to pitch him to come wear the purple and gold. When he canceled his official visit, I think it was 90 minutes later that it was then reported, no, his official visit is still on. So, I think that we're dealing with teenagers and kids who, sometimes put out information a little too early. Sometimes they're not as guarded as they should, and they, think something on a whim, and then they talk to a coach and they change their mind. So that is the fickle nature of the kids we're dealing with, and Lamar Brown is no exception to that, of course. I can tell you he's very talented, and they'll be interested to see which side of the ball LSU gets him out there at first, because he wants to play offensive and defensive line. So number one player in your state, you'd love to get him, especially considering the number two player in the state canceled his official visit this weekend to LSU. That is Blaine Bradford. He went to Ohio State instead of LSU, and that is a bad sign.
Yeah, no question about that. I don't know that I was aware of that. I'm a little bit up to my shoulders in some baseball up here. But tell us about what's going on with him. I mean, I would imagine that you're running out of time as far as the visit season goes here in the summer.
Yeah, during the summer, for sure. You can still take officials during fall camp. I mean, you get your, whatever number of visits. I think actually now you get unlimited visits, but there's some stipulation. I have to go read the rule real quick, but they changed it. There's still time to make up ground. Of course, you can't even sign the dotted line till December. But right now, LSU's just in a bad spot trying to flip him. He committed to Ohio State maybe 3 months ago or so. And LSU just hasn't been able to gain any momentum on that yet. They're going to keep on fighting. You never want to see, a top two player in your own state, in your hometown, Baton Rouge, go out. But sometimes that happens. Sometimes kids, they're from here. They just, for whatever reason, didn't grow up hardcore LSU fans. And, sometimes they really want to get away. They want to do something different. And, I think you got to find out the case here. Is it he just felt Ohio State was best for him? Is it that Ohio State gave him an NIL offer he couldn't pass up? Or is it that he's just not that interested in LSU? We'll have to see. But right now, LSU's in a tough spot.
It's too early to tell this, I think, Preston. You tell me, I'll ask. But there was, this time last year, one of the first questions out of most recruits' mouths is, okay, how much money he got? And now with the new house settlement and with the fact that everything's got to go through a clearinghouse, and I'm hearing that that's going pretty efficiently, is the recruiting conversation likely changing now as away from, like, here's how much money I can give you today, no problem?
Yeah, and I think revenue sharing, I think that kind of evens the playing field because, more so than having to go out and raise money through an NIL collective, schools can now give money directly. So basically anywhere you go, you're going to get some money as long as you're not, a major – let's put it like this. The difference between Georgia and LSU, how much money you're going to be making, is it going to be just ludicrously different, So it really kind of evens the playing field. I'll tell you this, Hunt. There's not a single kid I've interviewed in the last 3 years who has admitted to, I'm very interested in NIL opportunities. Every single one of these kids says, yeah, I don't really care about money in college. I'm here for the development. That same old school answer we would have gotten before NIL.
Sure.
So it's really hard to actually get a pulse on how the kids are actually feeling about all that. So, we will see. It's been the same message, though. It's been, no, I don't care about money.
All right, last one here, Preston. Anybody? We talked about Brown. We talked about Bradford. We talked about, obviously, Keys. Is there anybody else that you're looking at this weekend that's very important that LSU's got on campus?
Well, you're keeping, you got 2 commitments coming in. You got Haven Finney and Jamari Mack coming to campus. You definitely want a really good chance to keep and retain those guys, but keep an eye out for Boobie Feaster, man. I mean, talking about the wide receiver out of DeSoto, Texas. DeSoto, Texas has been nice to LSU over the years. If you add him to that receiver class, particularly if you don't feel too comfortable in Tristan Keys, I would have to imagine this is probably the best receiver class in the country if you're able to add him to that list. I haven't gone down the list and looked at everybody, but I know LSU's got the best one in the country, and they've got 3 other studs if you get Boobie Feaster. So you'd have to be really pretty good if you get those guys.
Let's hope. We'll see. There'll certainly be updates on TigerBait.com throughout the weekend. Preston, tell them where they can find all of that, and we'll let you go.
Yeah, man. Y'all make sure to keep up with our YouTube channel, TigerBait on YouTube. Our website's where we're going to post everything. Y'all can always go follow me, Preston Guy, on Twitter.
Appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend. We'll talk next week.
All right. Thanks, Hunt.
Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, talking some football recruiting. We'll shift back to the baseball side of things. Doug Thompson from the LSU Sports Radio Network will join us next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Always, always, always love telling you about my friends at Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisOfBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisOfBatonRouge.com. So start your shopping right there. You can check out pricing. You can see pictures, all the great features and perks of being a Genesis driver. If you see something you like to get behind the wheel of that, well, they can make that happen. You can either go to Airline at Piku. It's an incredible facility with a welcoming staff. It'll be a wonderful experience for you with the test drive there. Or say, hey, I'd like to do that remotely. Can you come to the house? Can you come to the office on Tuesday? And one of their brand ambassadors is happy to pull right up. They'll get you behind the wheel, let you see that Genesis difference once you get behind the wheel. Stylish, sleek, comfortable, and all of those new purchases coming with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, plus 3 years of complimentary valet maintenance. Just part of being a Genesis driver. Go by and see them, Airline at Piku, across from Women's Hospital. Check out that inventory at GenesisOfBatonRouge.com. It's GenesisOfBatonRouge.com.
Live from Omaha, powered by Our Lady of the Lake, Championship Health for everybody, and presented by GoFlow Ivy Spa and Yingling Flight. This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Here from the Ameristar Casino Resort, Council Bluffs, Iowa. I'm looking right down the hallway at check-in. There's some purple and gold rolling in right now. I'm telling you, I've seen more of it today than I saw all of this past week. It is a beautiful sight to see. I think that ballpark's going to be loaded with purple and gold over the next 72 hours. One of the guys in the ballpark the next 72 hours is going to be Doug Thompson, of course, former Tiger and national champion and member of the LSU Sports Radio Network. He joins us now. Doug, you missed the rain delay back last week. You would have felt right at home, but I'm glad you made it up.
Yeah, no, I think that's the only one that I managed to miss this year somehow. But that was the longest. I mean, that was spanned across 2 days or a full day. So anyway, yeah, no, man, it's good to be here, and it's an amazing deal. And I've seen Tiger fans all day, Hunt, just like you. I'm actually staring at the beach volleyball court at Barrett's Barley Corn right now. Because the Mr. Scott, an Uber driver that picked me and my kids up 3 years ago, asked me to come here. And he asked me if I needed any errands to run. And that's just an example of how the people of Omaha absolutely love when the Tigers come to town. In fact, I was just talking to Mr. Tiger, the gentleman that owns Barrett's, and he said, when LSU doesn't come to Omaha, literally they get zero business out of the College World Series. They stay pretty busy here, but there's no extra business when LSU's not in town. When LSU is in town, it increases their business that week by about 75 to 80%. So anyhow, if you're coming into Omaha, you got to check out Barrett's Barley Corn. They've got a great menu, but this bar is likes to say it is the official bar of LSU baseball during the College World Series.
No doubt. There's 40 years of history in those walls. It's purple and gold. And my favorite Barrett story is my dad and I came up 2 years ago, and we dropped our stuff at the hotel and went straight to Barrett's. I walked in. I knew 6 people that were there already. I walked in. There were 6 people I knew, and none of it, we didn't coordinate at all. That's just that's what's going to happen to you if you come up here and go to Barrett's. I highly recommend checking them out. Right. Doug, you've watched a lot of LSU baseball in this town. You've played baseball in this town in purple and gold, and undoubtedly you've seen a lot of Arkansas baseball in Omaha in your day. That, to me, was a perfect encapsulation of the two programs and why LSU always makes the plays to get it done and Arkansas seemingly doesn't. What did it look like from the press box to you?
Honestly, Hunter, I'm never really a loss for words. I guess that's why I do some color radio every now and again. But I was at a loss for words from the moment Aloy threw the ball to third base. I was at a loss for words. You mentioned LSU and Arkansas, and I have seen a lot of baseball from those programs, but I'm talking about the thousands of games that, I've played and watched. I've never seen anything quite like that. Feel awful for the left fielder if he really did dive for the ball. I mean, if he really did slip. If he dove, I don't feel quite as bad for him. But with Hiva Aloy, I mean, what in goodness' name was going through his mind. I don't know if we'll ever know exactly what was going through his mind, but I think I was about where everyone else that was watching was, Hunter. I was shocked, man. Pure shock.
The last 2 times LSU's played in the college finals, you have not had your ace available. Alex Lang didn't pitch in 17. Skeens didn't pitch in 23. LSU's got both aces ready to go this weekend. How big a deal is that for the Tigers?
Well, actually, both sides have their 1 and 2s, which I think is going to be cool. Because, yes, Lang and Skeens didn't pitch, but neither did Faedo, and I can't remember the ace for Florida.
Singer did pitch, but Faedo did not.
Yeah, 1 year Faedo didn't. So I thought that was crazy that we were leaving Omaha that year with a national champion that hit 202 on the season, and Alex Lang didn't even get to pitch in the final 3 games. I thought that was bizarre. But, yes, I'm excited about that. We're going to actually see, in my opinion, a final 3 series that will really, pin a champion because it just doesn't seem like one team should be able to win a championship without having to face the other team's best pitcher, in my opinion. But I'm fired up about that. I think everybody should be because it just so happens, by the way, that our 1-2 this year may be the program's strongest 1-2 punch in history. And I'm even talking about from a statistical perspective, not even if they win the national championship, just once you stack up these 2 kids' numbers, they might outdo all of the others.
Yeah, going to finish 1 and 3 in the country in strikeouts, which has never happened here. It's going to be pretty special. Doug, I can't wait for your perspective on this. It looks like, based on the forecast, the wind's going to blow in like 20 miles an hour straight in from center field. What does that mean?
Throw that fastball down the middle and let them hit it as hard and far as they can possibly hit it because just period, honestly, Hunt, if I was pitching in Omaha, I would definitely be very upset with myself if I walked anyone because it's so cavernous. I mean, you've really got to hit a baseball hard to get it out of that ballpark. And yes, as a pitcher, I would be like, hey, if I'm in a 2-0 count, here it comes right down the middle. Hit this thing as hard and high as you can possibly hit it because, I mean, you're going to have to hit a ball 400-plus feet. If what you're saying is accurate and it's 20 miles an hour in, you've seen it, you're going to have to hit a ball 400 to 425, 30 feet to be able to get it out of the ballpark, at least from the gaps to dead center.
Yeah, I mean, Coastal doesn't have a home run up here, and LSU's just got a couple from Jared Jones. I'm curious if you think the coaches will do a little bit more bunting or trying to steal bases, considering the fact that the slugging is just not potentially going to be there.
Yeah, I think that this, at the end of the season, it doesn't. You're going to scratch their eyes out to get a run, whether it's a bunt, a hit and run, a slash bunt, a homer. My answer to you is I think both teams are going to do whatever they can possibly do to score runs. It's just going to be a matter of which team does it better and which team executes better.
Doug Thompson's our guest, color analyst for the LSU Sports Radio Network, course a national champion in the purple and gold. Give me an offensive player for LSU that you think's got to be a key over the next 3 days.
Wow, what a great question. Hey, I haven't quite dove in yet. Tell me about the starting pitchers first. Let's go there, and I'll tell you I'll tell you which hitter's got to have a big weekend for us.
6'6" right-hander tomorrow that throws 96, and a 6'8" right-hander on Sunday that throws 96.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, in that case, I would say Jared Jones is going to have to hit some of those fastballs. And Jared Jones was probably going to be my choice anyway. But, look, man, he's our guy. He's our guy, regardless if he's been struggling or not. I think things would be much easier this weekend if in this next two games Jared Jones is 3 for 4 or has 3 or 4 hits under his belt. But they're going to be going at him hard. They're going to be trying to pitch around him. But I think you said it. He's the only guy that's hit a ball out of the ballpark. He may be one of the only guys that we have that can actually hit a ball out of the ballpark this weekend from what it sounds like with you. So I would say for me, it's Jones and actually Fry. I mean, the two guys in our lineup that I think have the juice to be able to slug a little bit. So that's my answer. It would be Jones with a close second being Ethan Fry.
We'll let you get back to Barrett's, Doug. We appreciate some time, and have a great call over the weekend. I'll see you up in the press box.
See you soon, Hunter. Thanks for having me, buddy.
That is Doug Thompson, former Tiger national champ and a member of the LSU Sports Radio Network. My guy is great, and I just chuckle when because we're both living and dying up there in the press box. When Tommy White hit that walk-off last year, 2 years ago, he bolted out of the back of that press box, and then back on Wednesday night when Jared Jones hit that single, he did the same thing, just dropped the headset and hightailed it out of the back of the booth while Chris was making the great call. There's some of us are a little more jittery and emotional up there than others. There's plenty of writers that are just enjoying the game and pecking away on the keyboards. Not me, and Duggars is just completely invested in it as well, and we appreciate a little bit of time here on this Friday. Hope your week has gone awesome. Our Friday shows are brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Going to be an awesome weekend up here in Omaha. If you're making the trip, be safe and enjoy Omaha. It's awesome. If you're hanging home, go order some Corks, feed the fam, and settle in and watch a little bit of baseball this weekend. We'll step aside. Michael Cauble was at the press conferences today, LSU and Coastal Carolina. We'll talk to him next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. When I say remodel, you may think like huge, massively expensive, takes forever, like a huge undertaking. And at times that's true, and if that's the case and you need a major bathroom overhaul, closet overhaul, like David Vaughn and his team are happy to do it, but it doesn't always have to be that big a project. It may be something very simple, like a tub-to-shower conversion. If you've got a tub that's not functional or that's old, dingy, and just doesn't look very good, and you don't ever use it because you don't take baths, then take it out. Put in a glass walk-in shower. Changes the look of the bathroom, changes the functionality of the bathroom, add a little value to your home. Put a big smile on your face. David Duvall is happy to do that for you. The process starts with a free consultation, and then you fill out a questionnaire, kind of figure out what it is that you want, and they customize things to your exact specifications. It's David Duvall in One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com, onebathandclosets.com.
Live from Omaha, powered by Our Lady of the Lake, Championship Health for everybody, and presented by GoFlow Ivy Spa and Yingling Flight. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Wrapping up hour number one. Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show from the Ameristar Council Bluffs, Iowa, across the river from Omaha, Nebraska. Charles Schwab, where the head coaches just had a press conference. Coastal Carolina made some waves with theirs as well. Michael Cauble, WVRZ Sports 2 director, was there. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline from the stadium. Michael, how are you, sir?
Doing good. Baking out here in the afternoon sun. LSU just getting onto the practice field for their pre-championship finals practice. Coastal had theirs earlier, so we are a little sweating to the oldies as they've got My Girl playing on the portable radios out here.
Love to hear that. So obviously the big moment from the Coastal press conference was when somebody from the local newspaper or whatever said, "Hey, what do you like about the Tigers?" And the three players just didn't say anything. And then the pitcher for Sunday, Morrison, goes, "Nothing really." So what did you make of the moment?
I mean, it is what it is, right? It's fine. It's absolutely what the kid should have said. I mean, he could have said I'd admired them. They've been a great program, but nobody wanted to bite on the question, and then finally he stepped up and just said not a whole lot, you know. So it's fun. It's a viral moment, right? It's a good little deal. Jake Brown had one about not being scholars that I just tweeted out too. So it's fine, man. Like they are a different style of team, and I think they get it right from their head coach. It's all about business. He used the term micro-focused, I think, or something. I don't know, something to that effect of just like really drilling down on the minutia and focusing on the details. And what he said a lot is kind of what Jay says a lot. So pretty similar. Jay was asked about the similarities between these two teams, and Jay said they're very similar. In fact, the only difference is the spotlight that's on the two of them, and that's kind of what I'm focusing on tonight. Just talking about how, if you're at LSU, you handle the spotlight and, you know, the expectations that are coming with it. And maybe Coastal Carolina doesn't have that because, you know, they're just not this perennial powerhouse. They're a great program, but, you know, they're not the program that LSU or some of the other blue bloods of college baseball are.
So I'm curious what the vibe was around Coastal. I mean, they just won a national championship 9 years ago, and you know they're back here in Omaha. They've won a billion games in a row. I mean, does this feel like a Cinderella? Does it feel like Gonzaga basketball? Like, how do you think they feel about themselves?
I think they feel very much like they've earned the right to be here through the consistent hard work that they put in. I feel like they're probably being doubted. They certainly talked like they had a chip on their shoulder. They talked like, you know, they've got something to prove. But they also talk like they're very much aware of who they are, and they're not trying to make headlines or be flashy. They just want to go out there and win games. Their coach is very interesting. Like I was talking to some of the other media folks. Like I don't know if I would like him if I had to cover him. But like, you know, in this instance, you kind of understand what he's doing. He's preaching the message, and they have all year long. So, you know, it is what it is. I hate to use that phrase, but like they're very much aware of kind of what they are, who they are, and why they're here. What's worked for them this year. A lot of combinations of great fundamental baseball, it sounds like, and they're hoping to kind of show the world.
Was there any elaboration on the decision to go with Cameron Flukie as the starting pitcher tomorrow with Jacob Morrison going on Sunday?
No follow-ups.
Okay.
No questions about their pitching. Not really sure. Both of them all right-handers. I took them out of practice. I swear to God, they have to have the tallest pitching staff in the country. Like every one of them was 6'5" or taller. I don't know if that necessarily matters, but I don't know. Again, like your LSU, you can handle righties for the most part. You're used to it, so it's like it doesn't seem like there's going to be any great surprises. It's really, to use a Jay Johnson term, it sounds like it's going to be a lot about executing, right? Coastal obviously loves to jump in front. I think their coach threw out some stat like they're 32-3 when they score first. They're 31-37-1 when they score more than 7 runs. So they pitch it obviously pretty well, and they can explode on you offensively. It's what you would expect from College World Series finals team, right?
Yeah, sounds that way. Last one here, Cauble. We'll let you go. A little bit of a cutout on the cell phone there, but I've seen a lot of purple and gold walking into the casino here in Council Bluffs. Have you seen an invasion across the river?
I haven't, but we haven't gotten out much either. You know, there's some fans in the stands here. I guess this practice is open. So there are some fans in the stands, not as many as earlier, but yeah, just from everybody that you know was jumping on the bandwagon to come up here. I mean, like you see the posts, you see the text, the tweets, you know, they're on their way. So yeah, it should be a fantastic finals. Apparently they brought the heat with them. The wind is absolutely whipping. Hard to left. Sometimes, but it feels like it's really turning up a lot. When I was out here earlier, it was blowing dead end. Now it's blowing hard to left. So just a lot of different feels for this thing. You know, the heat, it's hot, but it's nothing like what we deal with. So I don't think that'll necessarily be a concern for anybody. As long as everybody stays hydrated, I think we'll be all right.
I do as well. We'll let you get back to it, Michael. We appreciate the time.
Thanks, guys.
Michael Cauble, WBRZ, over there at Charles Schwab Field. It's going to be a storyline. Like, I mean, it's not something you talk about a ton unless it's really cold for football. But for baseball, like, the weather matters a lot, and especially in this ballpark. And you know, I'm fascinated to see how the coaches approach this, because you're going to have two of the best pitching staffs in college baseball in an environment where it's really hard to score runs because you're going to not be able to hit the big 3-run home run. I mean, I think Jared Jones is probably the only guy that I think can hit one through the wind like that out to one of the power alleys. I mean, he can, but I don't know of anybody else that I'd really trust from LSU to do it. Now, if you hit one right down the line either way, a lot of guys can run it out. A lot of guys can, and that's something that you saw even when we had the dead bats and balls. Like Mason Katz got one down the line and hit it into the bullpen in 2013. Like, you can do that, but it's not going to play like it did in 2023 when we were here, where Florida went nuts on Sunday and LSU went nuts on Monday, and they were hitting the ball out of the ballpark. It's not going to do that. So when you've got a Coastal Carolina team that's second in the country in ERA in a bandbox of a ballpark, and LSU who's ninth in the country in ERA with the number 1 and number 3 strikeout pitchers in the nation, that to me indicates that you're going to get really low-scoring games. And I'm just curious to see if you see some squeeze bunting, if you see LSU try to do that steal and stop play that they've done that didn't quite work back on Wednesday when Jake Brown kind of slipped and didn't put his foot in the ground and get into the rundown to try to steal that insurance run. It feels like you're not going to be able to just sit back against Flukie and Morrison and Anderson and Ianson and all these guys, and you figure Shores will be in there, maybe Evans, and like it's just a lot of power stuff that you're going to have to deal with in gale force winds potentially. And maybe it doesn't happen, but I didn't talk about weather at all on the pregame show on Monday because I didn't know that was coming until the last segment of my show, and somebody put it in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat, and I was like, I didn't know it was supposed to rain. But now we're looking at the forecast, and like I'm seeing gusts of 40, sustained 17 to 20. Like, that's a substantial wind. And Cauble's out there right now, and the ballpark is right there on the river, and the wind blows a lot. And if it's whipping in dead straight, like, it just changes the way you play offense a little bit. And LSU has got to play it the way they played it against UCLA. Milam's hitting ground balls through the shift. Brown 2-out RBI hits. Even Jared Jones is the last single against Arkansas to walk it off. Those are the kind of swings you have to make. You can't come out of your shoes and put one up in the wind because it's just going to balloon, and you can't win doing that. Now, I did talk about this in the first segment. Like, this has to be coached now, like right now. If you hit the ball in the air, especially if it's on the infield and you've hit it straight up in the air, like, that wind is going to cause some problems. You need to be busting it out of the box, busting it. Like, that should be the case no matter what. But we know in baseball at times guys get frustrated when they pop one up and they just don't hustle. If the wind's blowing 20 miles an hour, you better be hustling because you might be on second base on a pop-up right on the pitcher's mound because 4 guys went up there and the wind started blowing and nobody called it and it fell. So the wind, there needs to be coaching about the wind if we feel like that's actually going to happen. So I'm curious to see how that impacts everything, and we'll certainly talk about it. That's it for hour number 1. Appreciate Preston Guy, Doug Thompson, and Michael Cauble for coming on with us. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. We're going to have a busy second hour as well. Peter Flaherty from Baseball America is going to be with us, and I've got a lot more to say about this LSU and Coastal College World Series matchup. We'll come back after Sports Center on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.